This is kind of surprising given how well Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing. They had won back-to-back games by a combined score of 67-17. He has the 7th-ranked QBR in the NFL. It leads me to believe that they're in trade talks with Dallas after last night's embarrassment for Jerry. Because I'm sure Tua's a long-term guy there, right? Fitzpatrick's playing really well. You know what, Gator? It's the next 30 for 30. Ryan Fitzpatrick story. How he couldn't keep a job anywhere. I hope this guy wins a Super Bowl someday, because I think he's too good to be a backup, but he's not good enough for anybody to keep him. They can build around him, you know.
I think an interesting 30 for. What if I told you an unlikely quarterback out of Harvard would not only play in the National Football League, but would find himself on 8, maybe even 9 different teams throughout his career. And it's a storied career. A career that saw him throw for over 34,000 yards. A career that saw him throw for over 200 touchdowns. A career that saw him set the stage for only other quarterbacks that were more highly touted to take over. His name, Ryan Fitzpatrick. The flowing beard is something that only Vikings aspire to grow. Frankly, it's frightening, and yet you can't take your eyes off of it. In a word, magical. I think they should do a 30 for 30 on all guys like Fitzmagic, like somebody, like I mentioned earlier. Now I'm trying to blank. The pitcher, Edwin Jackson.
Yeah.
Guy who pitched for a bunch of different teams, and there's baseball seems to lend itself more to guys that have done that, played for 10 organizations or whatever. But hockey players that have done that, or guys that have been in the league forever. Joe Thornton is ready to start his 23rd NHL season. He's going to play with Toronto this upcoming season. Guys like that, I think, could be interesting just to see the longevity and how different it is. So you got guys like Chris Chelios that played in the league for well over 20 years, but Chelly was a Norris-winning defenseman. He played in multiple Stanley Cup teams. Ryan Fitzpatrick he's almost, I'm not going to say he's a unicorn, but he is like the ultimate journeyman quarterback. And where he's been good enough where he's been. He's a capable starter. He's not a star, but he's always played well enough to keep you competitive and keep you in the game.
And repeatedly discarded.
Yes, repeatedly.
Over and over again.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. I mean, he's not your typical backup quarterback, hold the clipboard. He's a guy who comes in and starts for every single one of these teams at some point, and he's got the record as most thrown touchdowns for the most teams, and he might add another one to that list if he's traded this year or if he sticks around for next year and is on another team. But yeah, he's got. You mentioned how many yards he's thrown in this league. He plays everywhere he goes at some point for a decent amount of time,
and yet he's always being shown the door.
Thanks for your service.
Thanks for your contribution.
Jeez.